Shalom, Apostle, coming back at you with the truth, giving all praise to Yahweh, Shabbat, Shemakakodash. And I'm going to entitle this video "Word." I'll put it this way. It says the Hyksos were a Semitic people in the form of a question, or whether Hyksos a Semitic people or the Israelites. And I'll see whether I'll put in the word Israelite or Semitic people in that title. But anyway, I was just kind of going through just reading certain things, and I came across. I went to Google and put in a map of ancient map, or old map of Africa, and it said Negro land. Then it kind of led me to asking. Well, I put Egypt in the blue letter in the scriptures as a word search, and the word Egypt is written. I believe I can go back to it, but it's well over 1,000 times. And I read a couple of articles on Egypt, ancient Egypt, in relation to the Israelites, but it led me to this statement right here, where the Hyksos Israelites. And I believe they were definitely Israelites in my opinion. And on another tab, I asked the question, did Israelites have communities in Egypt? Now we're going to go to the account in Matthew 2, of how Herod the Great wanted to have the baby, the son of the Lord, put to death, because he knew about it was foretold that he was going to come. So he knew. So Herod knew that the Lord was either here around this time period. So if he knew that, him being the Edomite, you mean to tell me the Israelites didn't know that, and they were not looking for the Lord, for the Messiah? When they encountered John the Baptist, they first thought he was the Messiah. Are you the Messiah? And he said, no. Are you Elijah? He said, no. And the reason why he said no, you have some people that say, well, no, John is not Elijah, because when he was asked whether he was Elijah or not, he said no. Yeah, he said no because we don't remember the former things are not in our memory bank. It's locked in there, behind a firewall, so to speak, like a computer. Our brain is a computer, right? But he said no because he didn't know. That's in Ecclesiastes. We don't remember former things. Now the Lord knew who he was, because he was the Lord. Anyway, so when you read Matthew 2, and I'll go to that in a minute, it says that Joseph and Mary and the angel Gabriel, Gabriel Allah, told him in a dream, look, go to Egypt. And then we go into the great slaughter. And this was ordered by Herod himself, which he was basically, set up by the Romans any damn way. Which he was an Edomite, which goes back to, when you go back into the Josephus and you go back into the history, it says how one of the relatives of the Maccabees, which was Hyrcanus, he forced Edomites, because back then they knew during the time of the Maccabees, you had Edomites, you spoke about Edomites. So now you have Christians that say that Oh, the Edomites was done away with. If you go into the book of the Maccabees, what is either second, I believe the second Maccabees 5, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to look for it. Somebody can put it up in there and put the actual scripture, and they'll say, see, that's when the Edomites were done away with. Okay, so my question is this: Hyrcanus came along long after the death of Maccabees, Judas Maccabees, and long after that time period. I can go into the history and tell you exactly when Hyrcanus was on the scene, but he came long after. So who did he convert to being to following the law, statutes, and commandments in the scriptures? They were Edomites. As a matter of fact, let me go to okay. Okay, force conversion of the Edomites. Let's see what happens. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, during the 2nd century BC, the Edomites were forcibly converted to Judaism, meaning the laws, by the Hasmoneans, which are the Maccabees, and were incorporated into the Jewish nation, the Israelite nation, which matter of fact, let me go here. Let me go here. And this is where this is why Herod said he was a Jew, and the Romans set him up to be the king of the Jews, because he was following so-called, he was calling himself following the law, the laws of Israel. And his sons, now the one son, Herod, I believe it was Philip, his brother, committed adultery with Philip's wife. Like I said, I got to go back to the history. I'm not going to search for it. I'm not going to give you a whole history lesson. You got to do that homework yourself. He had an adulterous affair with his brother, and John the Baptist cursed him out for it. Even though he was an Edomite, he cursed him out because he said he was an Israelite, he was a Jew, so he was supposed to keep them laws. And ultimately, in the kingdom, all you nations are going to keep the laws anyway. So should you keep the laws now? Should Edomites keep the laws and other nations keep the laws? If they hear about us, they should try to keep the laws. But they ain't going to keep the laws. They're going to learn to keep the laws in the kingdom. Anyway, it says, and the laws are what they call the laws of Moses, really the Most High's laws. That's order. So John Hyrcanus, the first king of Judea, John Hyrcanus. Let me see if this is the same Hyrcanus. Let me do this. Let me do this. Let me put in Edom. Okay, if you go right to the point. Okay, it says John Hyrcanus the first. Okay, give you his date of birth. High priest ruler of Jewish nation from 135 to 134 to 104. And that was long after the Maccabees were no longer in that power seat. Judas Maccabees got killed. He died. This is a descendant of the Maccabees. So when you go back, when you Christians go back and say, oh, they eat, matter of fact, you know what? Let me go to that. Let me go to that real quick. Let me go to that real quick. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, like I said, I believe it's in, let's try second Mac. Five. Let's see what happens. I don't know the word. If the word is Idumean, bear me for a minute. Okay, Edom. We got Edom up in here. Let me try. I do. Damn, I hate this. I hate this. I gotta do it the hard way. Let's see if I can find it this way. Let's try this. Damn, man. Let me do it this way. Edom. Apocrypha. We're only dealing with, okay, maybe it's not even in there. Let me do it this way. See if that comes up. Apocrypha only. Okay, it was First Maccabees. First Maccabees 5. Let me go to the whole chapter. Now, when the nations around about heard that the altar was built and the sacrifice renewed as before, it displeased them very much. Now, what group of people were displeased? The Edomites. They've always been enemies of us. So why do you got clowns like Elder Rakar bigging up the Edomites? Not one, every Edomite, they are going to be saved. They're going to be saved to go into slavery. And we're going to have our foots on their necks. I had to say it that way. Supreme Ebonics. Wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob. Wherefore they thought to destroy, who's the they? We're going to read who the they is. Now, when the nations, what nations is it talking about? Ultimately, you can go to Psalms 83, around about heard that the altar was built. And the altar is being built right now We go out there on the highways and the byways. That's why we got infiltrated by spies, police, agents. You got guys on the comment board coming against us. You got Vocab Malone. He made a video. He put up the last video that he did was on me from you mean to tell me you had to go that far back, almost 20 years, to find some dirt on me? And it ain't even dirt, it was truth. To try to demonize myself, or meaning to demonize the Israelite thing. Well, what I said back there, I still say today. I haven't changed. And I have scriptures to back up everything that I say. What we're going to do to these people, what we're going to, future tense. We can't do nothing to them now. We have no power. You jakes out there that think you're going to take this man down, this man, he drools and you trying to take him down. Them gangbangers, they don't go up against some police, man. They don't go, but they scatter when the police come, man, because they know that the police have more firepower. That's the blessing that Isaac gave to Jacob. So it says, let me read this again. Now when the nations round about heard that the altar was built and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much. Who's the them? Wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob. They always wanted to kill us. And it was not just Esau. Go back and read Psalms 83. Go back and read Numbers 23, Numbers 24. You can start from Numbers 22, I believe, but the whole account starts in the 22nd verse, or 22nd chapter. You can read about the king of Esau not allowing passage to the Israelites. And Moses referred to them as brother Esau. And they said, no, let me get that. I have to get that. I must be allowed to get that. Okay, let me go here. Let me go here. Because I don't want to lose this. I ain't going to lose it. Let me see here. Okay, I want to go to blue letter. Blue letter. Okay. Let me put this in, see what happens. Let's see what comes up. Okay, that's it. What do you hell about shy? Oh boy. The water of Meribah. Moses took the key point is right at the 15th verse, but okay. Numbers 20 verse 14. And Moses sent messengers from Kadesh unto the king of Edom. Thus saith thy brother Israel. So that's they were brothers. They knew, Moses knew that the Edomites were their brothers, meaning going back to Isaac and Rebekah. All right. It says, thus saith thy brother Israel, thou knowest all the travail that hath befallen us. You know all the hell that we went through with this Egypt and the Most High bringing judgment and all that. Anyway, it says how our fathers went down into Egypt, and we have dwelt in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians vexed us. and our fathers. And when we cried unto Yahweh, he heard. That's why the first thing that Moses did, that he was set up to be a leader of Israel, when he encountered the Father, the Supreme, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Rakakwadash, he the first thing he said was, "What is your name?" So that I might tell the people. So that the name is important. We've been saying that. It said he heard our voice and sent an angel and have brought us forth out of Egypt. And behold, we are in Kadesh, a city in the utmost of thy border. Let us pass, I pray thee, through the country, through Esau's country, the land of Edom. So you know that they were, if you take a biblical map, I can see it. I don't even got to go to the map. I can see it myself. They were in between the Gulf of Suez and the Gulf of Akbar, north of the Red Sea, that great body of water. So they had to go north to get to, you know, what they call Palestine today, Jerusalem, Israel. So they had to pass through Moab, Ammon, and then they had to pass through Edom. It says, let us pass, I pray thee, through the country, through the land of Edom. We will not pass through the fields or through the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. So Esau had his own community. We will go by the king's highway. We will not turn to the right hand nor to the left until we have passed thy borders. In other words, we're just walking through. Is it all right? And Edom said unto them, thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. So they always had hatred for us, but you niggas, man, you motherfucking niggas, man. You always bend over backwards for this devil. And you the king of that, Elder Ricard, GOCC. And the Most High is going to destroy your work too. Because you ain't doing the will of the Most High. You're doing your own will. A child left to himself shall be what? Willful. And the children or the sons of Yasha'Allah said unto him, we will go by the highway, and if I and my cattle drink of thy water, then I will pay for it. I will only, without doing anything else, go through on my feet. And he said, thou shalt not go through. And Edom came out against him with much people, where they rolled up on them. And with a strong hand, what does it mean by a strong hand? They had their weapons ready. They said, man, we'll kill you. You ain't coming through here. Well, there's all this nonsense about Deuteronomy 23, verse 7. A nigga that reads that scripture and breaks it down the way this guy breaks it down, you basically a slave, man. You got that slave mentality, that house Negro mentality. We sick. Does Edom refuse to give Israel passage, the people, the sons of Israel passage through his border, wherefore Israel turned away from him. And the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, journeyed from Kadesh and came unto Mount Hor. So that's all I need on that. Let's go back to Hyrcanus. It gives you his whole history, man. Or even tells you about the Pharisees. It says a scholarly sect with popular backing, and the Sadducees, an aristocratic sect that comprised the priesthood, became well-defined religious parties. Hyrcanus was the youngest son of Simon Maccabeus. Maccabeus mean he was from the line of the Maccabees, and thus a member of the Hasmonean dynasty. Hasmonean dynasty, when you look it up, is the Maccabees, which they were Levites, so called after an ancestor named Hasmoneus. In 137 BC, he and his brother Judas commanded the force that heroically repelled the invasion of Judea by Sandibius, the general of the Syrians. King Antiochus goes all into that. So we know that it's talking about that time period, right? It says, let me come down to here. His effort to punish his enemy, ward off the Syrians, and enlarge Judea's boundaries, although he struggled in vain to destroy Ptolemy, he successfully thwarted Syrian incursion by alliances with Rome. And the people of Rome at that time, they were not Edomites, they were Japhet. The original Roman setup was the people of Japhet, Minoans, the Etruscans, and so forth, and conquered the unfriendly neighboring treaties of Samaria. Who was living in Samaria? The mother nations. And what? And Idumea, Edom. He forced Idumea to convert to Judaism, meaning keeping the laws. The first example of conversion imposed by the Jews in their history. This never happened in history. Upon his death, Hyrcanus was succeeded by his eldest son, Aristobulus the first. Hyrcanus' reign was the last under which Judea was a powerful united state, because they began to get weak, and then the Romans came in. Matthew's 11. How does it go? And the violent take it by force. Damn, I'm not going to go to it. Somebody can put it in, but it says, "And the violent shall take it by force." Matter of fact, let me go ahead and get it. I'm going to read it. Right. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven, which are the Israelites, suffered violence. The kingdom of heaven are the Israelites, and the violent, which are the Romans, take it by force. So after the death of Hyrcanus, that's when the Israelite kingdom started to go down. And then the Romans that took them down were the Edomites that came in after the Etruscans and the Minoans, which are the sons of Japhet. All right. So now let's go over here. Where am I? Okay. And I'm gonna get into the Egyptian part in a minute. It says, "Wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them, and thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. Then Judas fought against the children of Esau in Idumea," meaning Mount Seir, "at Arbertane, because they besieged Gial, and he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoils." That's what we do. Also, he remembered the injury of the children of Bien, and had been a snare and an offense unto the people, in that day lay in wait for them in the ways. Okay, he shut them up, therefore, in the towers and encamped against them and destroyed them, the Edomites, utterly, and burned the towers of that place with fire and all that was therein. Bear with me for a minute. So it says here in the third, I'm not going to read no more. It says, then Judas fought against the children of Edom and Idumea. And what did they do? They slaughtered them. So, like I said, if the Christian community is going to use this scripture, then how did Herod, the Herodian dynasty, come on the scene? And how did Hyrcanus convert Edomites? We just read that. They killed off a lot of Edomites, but they didn't kill all of them, man. You keep stretching, man, and you keep losing. Okay, now let me change gears a little bit, if I can find this. Okay, let's deal with the Hyksos a little bit. It says so I put in were the Hyksos Israelites. It says here, the Hyksos were a Semitic people whose arrival and departure from ancient Egypt has sometimes been seen as broadly parallel to the biblical tale of the sojourn of the Israelites. And that was a name that the Egyptians put upon us, which means, and it should be in here, which means shepherd kings. And we are the shepherd kings. We know for having sheep. It says biblical tale of the sojourn of the Israelites. Egypt, Canaanite population first appeared in Egypt toward the end of the 12th century, circa 1800 BCE, before the Common Era or before the Christian era, and either around the time of, I'm not going to read the rest of this. Let's see what else we can find. Let's see what they say here. Now you got articles that say the Israelites are not the Hyksos. Enigmatic Hyksos did not invade Egypt, were not Israelites. So you're gonna have pushback from people when you tell them that the Israelite, the Hyksos people were Israelites. You have, even in the Edomite community, you have Edomites that say, oh no, the Hyksos were Israelites, and you have others that say, oh no, they were not. Where did the Hyksos originally come from? Let's see what they say. Hyksos dynasty of Palestinian origin that ruled northern Egypt as the 15th century. Now, when you read the account of Joseph, he became a high ruler. He was second in command under the Pharaoh himself. You had the Upper Egypt and the Lower Egypt. Okay, let me try this one. What religion did the Hyksos, what religion did the Hyksos come from? Let me see what that says. Okay. Was Joseph a Hyksos? Or are Hyksos Canaanites? And we also known as Canaanites too. We're not Canaanites though. the Hyksos and their people were Canaanites who lived 500 years before the arrival of the Israelites in Canaan. Therefore, they do not share the same ancestry, which they got that right. The Canaanites are different from the Israelites. Long after the Hyksos domination ended, people from Canaan continued to reach Egypt, and among them may have been the proto-Israelites. Proto meaning first. Like you make a prototype of something. Was Joseph a Hyksos? What is this? Bosh. I don't even know how to say that. There's not doubt was the foster father of Moses. Joseph, therefore, lived between 1800 and 1700 BC. These Hyksos were Hittites and belonged to the Turan. So like I said, you got some experts, so-called experts, to say that they were Israelites, and others that say no, they're not Israelites. I believe that they were Israelites. What did the Hyksos look like? Okay, let's see what the Hyksos look like. Uh-oh. Archaeologists know the Hyksos were unlike typical Egyptians. What do they mean by that? The Egyptians were known for their height. The original Egyptians, going back to the biblical account of the Egyptians during the 400-year enslavement, the descendants of them are right there south of Egypt, which is the people of Sudan. The people of Sudan, they're long. Look, an Egyptian, a Sudanese cannot be a bodybuilder. They're not built that way. They're real tall and lanky and real black. So the original Egyptians are here today. Manute Bol was an Egyptian or descended from the ancient Egyptians. They had names like those of people from the neighboring region of the Southwest Asia. Ancient artwork depicts them wearing long, multicolored clothes. Did not Joseph have a multicolored coat on? Unlike normal Egyptians, white attire, but exactly who they were has been unclear. We don't know. They're Israelites, man. Okay, let me check this one. What language did the Hyksos speak? Let's see what they say about this. Oh, wait a minute. Semitic languages. Who are the Semitics? They came from the line of Shem. Lud, Aram, what's this guy? The one that the line came through Israel, Faxad, Elam, you know? It says, having come from Western Asia, the Hyksos people spoke Semitic languages. They are most known for residing in Lower Egypt after losing control of Upper Egypt. You had two classes of Egypt, two rulerships, Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. So we had the power, man. And why was we taken down? Because the prophecy had to be fulfilled. Let me look up the word Semitic language. I'm gonna close in a little bit. Learn a little bit of history. Okay, it says right there, the Hyksos right there, which are Israelites. Those are the Egyptians, which they were black. They weren't white. And these were the Israelites. You can see that they're dark skinned, not black, but dark skinned brown. Another depiction. This is an Egyptian known for their height. Manute Bol was what? He was almost 8 foot tall. I met him. I met him. That dude was so tall, it was scary. That was the difference, man. These were Israelites, and these are the Egyptians. I showed you that one. Okay, this is some crap. There's some nonsense. Oh, here's another one. What kind of construction did the Israelites do in Egypt? And these are Israelites. They wore what looks like diapers. What do you call this? The hell you call it? Well, I call them diapers, which technically they are because of the hot damn sun. They were working the hell out of them in the hot damn sun. Okay, so now let's go from here. Semitic languages. Okay, these include Ugaritic, Phoenician, Aramaic, Hebrew, Syriac, and Arabic. So it said that they spoke Semitic languages. Let's get that back. Okay, boom. So all this fits. The Hyksos would have to be okay. What happened when the Hyksos invaded Egypt? Remember, Egypt wasn't a major kingdom. Preserved in Josephus contra P. Onem 1, I believe. Menetho, which was an Egyptian historian, and I believe he lived around 300 BC, presented the Hyksos as a barbaric horde. And that sound like niggas. Niggas be hoarding, man. Hey, what does it mean to hoard? Let's look it up. Let's look it up. The barbarian hordes. Inside joke. Boy, Semitic languages. Okay, let's do this. Look up the word horde. I know what it means, but horde. A large group of people. You come down here. Let me see what it says here. Horde can be a noun or a verb referring to a supply of something kept hidden away or the act of collecting and storing inside. Well, hoard means you take something, you can buy something and hoard it. But he said barbaric hordes. I mean, it was taking shit. Come back over here. Okay. What happened when the Hyksos invaded Egypt? They took shit. They just beat motherfuckers over the head and just took their shit until the Egyptians came back into power. They said preserved in Joseph contra Epionem, I believe that's a 1. Menetho presented the Hyksos as a barbaric horde, invaders of an obscure race who conquered Egypt by force. You know, when Jake gets riled up, man, you know, Esau gets scared with them riots. the various riots that took place, the LA riots, or the riots in Jersey, was at Newark, New Jersey. What's the year? 67, around there, or the early 70s. You always had Jake get stirred up. So the Most High getting ready to stir up Jake again. That's in Baruch. What is that? Baruch 4. That's in Micah 5, from the 7th verse on down. So there's many precepts on that. It says causing destruction. Oh, wait a minute. Causing, he said the Hyksos, what's up with the Hyksos? He said they're a bunch of barbaric hordes, invaders of an obscure race who conquered Egypt by force. Ezekiel 25 and 12. Isaiah 11 and 11 on down. Causing destruction. Jake, what does that mean? Jake likes to tear shit up. When they get riled up, they tear shit up, man. And murdering or enslaving Egyptians, because that's ultimately what we're going to do. This account continued in Egyptian texts from the second intermediate period and New Kingdom. I'm not going to read no more. Now, let me go. What do I do here? Let me do this. Let me put in the word Egypt, and I'm going to close. Come on. Let's go. Let's go, champ. Or like I said, Egypt is written 611 times and 558 verses. Okay, where am I at? Okay, right here. I'm gonna give you about 2 precepts and I'm gonna close on this. Okay, I'll read this real quick. Matthew 2, verse 13 and 14. I guess I'll read. Most of Matthew's 2, 13, 14, 15, 19. It says Matthew 2, verse 13, and you should read Matthew's 2 from the first verse. And when they departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Yahusap in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. Now, why did they flee into Egypt? It was obvious there was communities of Israelites in Egypt. When you go back into the history, man, during the time of the Maccabees, during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, they went back and forth into Egypt. So it wasn't no one time that they went to Egypt. Now, Deuteronomy 28:68, that Egypt is talking about a spiritual Egypt, and as spoken of in Revelation 11 chapter. Because when you read the accounts of them going back to Egypt, they didn't go back to Egypt, back into Egypt in the ship. There was no water. In other words, if they were in Greece, you can take a caravan down into Egypt. You don't got to get on a ship. Would they go through the Mediterranean Sea? Would they go to the Persian Gulf? No, they went on land. So when it says you shall go back into Egypt in the ships, it's talking about the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, it says, Lord, the angel of the Lord approached Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child, which is our Lord, and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy it. That's the great slaughter in when you read, matter of fact, let me go to that. Let me go to that. Okay, Herod. So the angel came to Joseph and said, "Go into Egypt," and because Herod seek the baby's life. Because Herod, it says Herod slaughters babies. Then Herod, when he was, and then there's another reason. What the fuck you gonna, be a apologist for Edomites? They're all going in captivity under us. Ain't gonna be no 5 Edomites that's gonna deny their father and follow Christ with the head shaking. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, angry, and sent forth and slew all the children. In other words, he put the decree out, and it was Herod. It wasn't the Romans. Herod had his own personal army. Now, if they had Roman soldiers among that, yeah, that's possible because they worked together. When you go into the history, you had the Roman legions, you had the Roman armies, and then you had Herod. He had his personal army, which in the history during 70 AD, do you know that you had Edomites fighting side by side alongside of Jake? Because they wanted to get to the kingdom of heaven. It said that were in Baath-lechem. Why Baath-lechem? Because they knew the prophecy that he was going to come out of Baath-lechem, the city of David. And in all the coast thereof, and all the coasts, for 2 years, man. 2 years. We're talking 24 months of just killing babies. And this is what, at the order of Herod, the Romans didn't stop him. And he was under the Romans. So guess what? The Romans were involved in it too. I'm sorry, 2 years old. Forgive me, I'm getting beside myself. It says, I didn't mean 2 years. I meant 2 years old. I should have known that. Slap myself. It says, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, meaning the son, it wasn't girls. It was, now they could have been killing little baby girls too. It doesn't say son, but he was going after the boy children that were 2 years old and under. So there were newborn babies, infants that they would take, grabbing them and killing them, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So the wise men, it was told unto him that this is the time, and they all stay, the wise men, the company of wise men, they actually saw the baby, the child. So Herod knew about it from them. It said, then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, in Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they were put to death. 19th verse. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of Yahweh appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, basically, go back. You can go back now. You can actually, they settled in Nazareth. That's another reason why this wicked scribes and Pharisees said that he's not the Messiah, because the Messiah was going to come out of Bethlehem. He was born in Bethlehem. He wasn't living in Bethlehem. So they didn't know that. So let me come back. Okay, we read 13, 14. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph. Now the phone starting to ring. But anyway, if you go to Acts, let me go to Acts. Acts, the 2nd chapter, the Pentecost, what people from Israel came over there to partake into of the feast? People from Egypt, which were Israelites, Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.